All right, so emergency update video commencing now. This past week we got some very serious uh, news. so, gosh, it's like, how do we approach this?
Start from as far back as you can remember.
Well, I was in the womb.
No, that's too far back.
So, a little backstory. Please indulge me. We live in a triplex. The second floor apartment, which is us, and then two first floor apartments underneath us. One in the front, one in the back.
Which means that we have the biggest.
Yes, it's a nice apartment. So we've been here for 6 years, 5, 6 years. So some people might know, especially my patrons would know about my health stuff. And some of you do too, because I share it once in a while. If it gets so bad, I have to share it. Like if life gets so like intense that it's going to interfere with work or it's work related, I share it. And I do so on Patreon. I have what's called Patreon exclusive weekly updates that are every Sunday. I'll tell them like, what do we watch and how did the week go and how's the editing process going, what's coming up, what am I working on, and then I'll give like life updates as it pertains to the channel. I'm very open about stuff if it pertains to the workload or what's going on or the channel. So a lot of patrons will know 100% if they've read the weekly updates the issues that have been going on. So some backstory really quick. In February 2022, we had some new people move in the front apartment, and they were chronic smokers, and they smoked inside the house. I am asthmatic. I have very, very weak lungs. I have a very weak respiratory system. So it was aggravating because I'm very, very, very allergic to cigarette smoke. Contacted the landlord, like, hey, can you ask them? I've asked them to stop. They won't. Can you ask them to stop? He contacted them. They said, oh, we have been smoking outside, which they hadn't been. You could attest to that too. So the landlord's like, there's not much else I can do about it. They're saying they're smoking outside. I'm like, just come over and smell for yourself. You can smell it when you walk in. Just come over. And he never did. I begged for a month for him to come over and just smell for himself. Proof is just walk into our apartment. You can smell it. Never did. Instead, hired property managers. And they came out. They smelled it. They dealt with it, sorta. And it was okay-ish. It wasn't as bad, but it was still bad. And then like several months later, I ran into one of the neighbors downstairs. She was out walking their dog. I had like an hour and a half long talk with her. She admitted freely that they were still smoking. I wish I'd recorded it. She admitted freely they were smoking inside. But he's opening windows now. It's like, that's not how smell works. I have learned in the last 2 years that people do not understand how smell works in the real world in general. And also, I should know that the front apartment is tiny. It's 2 rooms. It's tiny. It's a glorified studio, and air rises. Insulation between apartments is so thin because their ceilings are like office tiley stuff that you can just push up into. So there's no insulation there. So all the smells, all the everything just rises up. Didn't stop. Fast forward. Just asthma attacks and just it was miserable. And then in December, a ray of light, because I knew that their lease was up in February. And I was checking the rental site daily just to see. And then one day, mid-December, there it was on the rental site, their apartment. And oh my God, I had tears in my eyes. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Yes. I sent you the picture immediately. I was like, Justin, look, oh my God. Because you were at work. I was like, yes. Oh my God, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you. At this point, we had been able to be month to month on the lease because of the issues. We were trying to look for our own place. And so the property manager and the landlords were cool enough to let us go month to month. That way, if we did find something, we could just leave and not be tied down for like another year and be free to look, which I've always appreciated. So December's when I found it. We go into January. January was rough because by then the front apartment was in give no shits mode. They were smoking inside. They were chain smoking inside constantly to the point that I'd have every single window in the apartment open with fans in them. And this is in January. This is the winter. We're talking like 10 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit nightly, sometimes lower if we had like a real cold spell. This apartment was a freaking freezer for weeks, and it was barely keeping the smoke at bay because I repeatedly asked for help. I'm like, they're still smoking inside. They're still smoking inside. By the time January came, I was like, okay. I knew they were moving. I just had to endure. It was like the last like leg of the marathon, and it's gonna be the hardest, and it's gonna burn the most, and you just gotta get through it, get to the finish line. It was horrible. It was really, really bad, and very, very cold. So I'd be quarantined in this room with like portable heaters going, and we had to have the windows open 24 hours a day and the fans going 24 hours a day to keep it at bay. It was awful. Like saying it out loud doesn't even like do it justice with how it was just bad. It was really, really bad. Really, really, really bad. My lungs were just wrecked. So I wasn't sure when the move out day was exactly for them. And I never heard them move out. Like one day they were here, next day they were gone. And within a week, the house cleared up. I could breathe. It was great. It was great. And it was so quiet because we had to have fans going nonstop for a year. So that brings us up into February 2023 and waiting for the new tenant and just being like, please don't be bad. Please don't be bad. Please don't be bad. Thinking like, universe, you have made me suffer enough in the last year. Like, holy crap. Can we please stop?
No.
No, yeah. Just wait. We're getting there. We're getting there. Last week of February, the house started to smell like a perfume counter exploded. And I'm like, this is lesser of two evils, I guess. I'm allergic to that too. I'm allergic to everything. New tenant moves in. I just so happened to run into her as she was unloading her car and moving stuff in. I just so happened to go check the mail. What a coincidence. And I talked with her. She seemed really cool. I think we have an understanding, et cetera, et cetera. I told her about my issues with the previous tenants. I told her about the smoking. I told her about my asthma attacks. I told her about all of it. I asked her, can you dial it back with the smells and et cetera, et cetera. Like, okay, yeah. She didn't. In fact, it got worse. So I reached out to the property managers. Please help. Please help. They did not. The entire apartment smelled like a perfume counter exploded. Like it was noxious. It got so bad we had to barricade the front entrance. Our steps walking down to the front door, we had to put plastic there. We have not been able to use the front door in like a month and a half. Because the smell is so strong. So we've had to use our back door, which is not ideal. Then about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4, maybe a month, I was having a really bad asthma attack. You went down to talk to her, to ask her, again, please stop.
With a picture of what had to be done with the front door.
Yeah.
To show that I wasn't exaggerating. I was actually being very direct and very clear about the situation.
Yeah. It didn't improve anything. It made it worse. So then I still wasn't able to speak well because I was still having trouble breathing. I could speak, but saying full sentences was tough. If you have asthma, respiratory issues, you know what I'm talking about. Even doing these videos, sometimes I'll have to like stop and catch my breath, and I edit it out, but it does happen. So I wrote a note, just a really I thought it was a really nice note. I let her know what was going on, what it was doing, where it was coming from. I offered to buy her replacement things. Like, I can handle the smell of vanilla. So let me buy you vanilla, whatever the hell it is you have. I will pay for it as like a friendly neighborly gesture. I said we're trying to move. So if you could just stop until we do, that'd be great. She didn't. And sidetrack on the moving thing. We have seen so many properties in the last like 2 months, 2 to 3 months. And there's something wrong with every single one. Like, not just like, oh, I don't like that color or something. No, it's been like,
if only that were the issue.
Yeah. Oh, there's been water in the basement they didn't disclose. Oh, this is a septic tank that hasn't been cleaned. It might not work properly. There's foundation issues that you might run into later on down the line. There's been something wrong at every place we've seen. But also, our budget is very modest. And as some of you might know, the housing market is stupid right now. The highest it's been in ages. Because of course it is. Because of course it's me and you're with me. So of course, secondhand curse. I am cursed, as some of you know. So my patrons know all about this too. So this is something that they know about. So this is like very familiar for you if you're a patron. And as we're talking about it, I've asked the property managers to help numerous times. Email. And they never respond. Like, you're the property manager. Your job is to manage the property. Do your job. help me. So, in what was a very bad decision, I wrote a very passionate email to them because I was tired of being ignored. What she's doing is intent. She has intent because she knows it's harming me. She just doesn't care. And I don't understand that lack of empathy. I don't understand why it's so hard for people to just be nice. Why can't you be nice? Like, we are so quiet and respectful here because we're up at night. So while they're sleeping, we're going to be super quiet. And we have been for years. So I write this email to the property managers. And in this email, I once again begged them to come out and smell for themselves. I've been saying that for a while now. Just come out and smell for yourself. I'm not making it up. I'm not exaggerating. You don't even need to come inside the house. Just go to our front door, open it up, stick your head in the entrance, because there's like an entrance and then there's our front door. It'll hit you in the face like a ton of bricks. They won't even do that. Eerily similar to how I begged the landlord last year, come out and smell the smoke. Please come out and smell the smoke. If you smelled it, you would know that I'm not making it up. And he didn't. So I'm like, well, who do you hire then if the property managers won't come out? Do they hire someone to come do it for them? So
hire someone to hire somebody to.
It's them not doing their jobs and me just suffering through this after suffering for a year with the smokers. I was just like, how much patience and being nice about stuff am I supposed to exhibit? I've been more than patient about this stuff, considering all the health stuff that's been causing me. So I send that email. In hindsight, I shouldn't have. And it wasn't mean. Like, I'm never like, do your fucking job. It wasn't like that at all. It was basically like, hey, this is going on. Please help. Please, please, please help. I'm begging you to help. Please do something. And as you can see, back here is deconstructed, taken down. The little setup I had, what setup I had back here for us is, you can probably guess what their response was. Their response was to blame me, 100% blame me for what's going on. They said that it's funny that anyone that moves in here, I have a problem with. And that's not true. They've only been property managers here through the last 3 tenants, the couple, the smokers, and then the new girl. We've had 11 tenants live here since we've been here. The last 3 have been the problem. You can ask the landlord. You can ask the previous owner of the house. So how many times have I handled things at house level? Many. Do I smell weed? Let's talk about it. You having a party till 5 in the morning? Let's talk about it. I like to handle things like an adult. Here, I don't want to involve anyone else. So for them to say like, oh, well, you're always the problem. I guess that you got brought in to like deal with the problem that you didn't. Because they never dealt with the smokers. The smokers just weren't allowed to renew their lease, but they were never...
No eviction.
No warnings, even. No, like, 3 strikes, you're out kind of thing. No, nothing. They were allowed to keep smoking inside the entire time.
It's even written on the lease, so one would think that that's grounds for eviction.
I wrote in my letter, in my email to the property managers, because when you talked to her, she said, it doesn't say anywhere in the lease that I can't light stuff.
And it had to have been more than simply one scented candle. One scented candle alone could not do the whoosh when she opened the front door.
Yeah, and that's what she's saying. She's just lighting one candle. I wrote in my email to them this as well, that I think that's a half-truth. Yes, she may just have one candle in addition to a plug-in or a wax burner or a potpourri burner. Just she's telling a half-truth. And yes, I know this is long, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm trying to give like the full story. So if you're watching, thank you. So while it might not say in the lease that you can't burn anything, it does say in the lease that people that live here cannot intrude on others' personal enjoyment. I think that constant asthma attacks and not being able to breathe more than constitutes as an intrusion on my personal enjoyment. And I told them that in the letter, or the email rather, to the property managers. So their response was said to blame me, 100% blame me for it, that I'm the problem, and that our month-to-month lease is being terminated. And we need to find somewhere to live as soon as possible. They gave us 30, 45, or 60 days to be out. And that was just in this last week. It happened. I sent the letter to them on the 30th of April. Their response was on Monday, the 1st. And then that's when it was like, oh my God. Like when you woke up, I like showed you the email so you could get the context. So, we need to find somewhere to live very soon. So that's the emergency thing going on. Yeah. We have had our individual share of panic attacks, just kind of being just being thrown for a loop. Like, I certainly didn't expect this. Like, how are you not going to do anything, then blame me for it? It's not my fault I have weak lungs. It's not my fault. Like, in addition to having the all the wax burnery, perfumey stuff, she also smokes. What kind of property managers would rent to another smoker after knowing what I went through for the past year with smokers? Like, if that's not like a disregard for somebody's health, if that's not saying like I don't give a shit about you, I just want money. Also, you're getting paid every month to do property management stuff, but you're not managing the property, so you're just stealing money. You're a thief. Right? I'm begging you for help, and you're not helping.
You may have a case.
It's a bureaucracy. So, that is the big bombshell right now. We need to move, which is good. We want to move. I've wanted to move for a long, long time. But the problem is we now have like a doom clock above our heads on trying to find a place in our budget that isn't awful or in a really bad neighborhood or anything like that. So, we have started packing because we don't know how much time we have yet. I wrote them back on Wednesday, nicer email, because they were like, you need to live somewhere without neighbors. Yes, I know this. You also need to do your job with the neighbors. I wrote them back. I was very honest. I was like, hey, I agree. We do need to find our own place. We've been trying. I even outlined like we tried here and this happened. We tried here and this happened. We tried here and this happened. So it's not like we don't like this place. Things have been happening every single time. I said, it may seem like that I'm the one that is the issue here. I was like, and I told them the whole thing, but there's been 11 tenants here since we've lived here. Only the last 3 have been the issue, et cetera, et cetera. I said it in a very nice way. And then I told them, like, I can't pick like 30, 45, or 60. Obviously 60. That's only 2 months. We still need to find a place, put an offer in, have it accepted, do the inspections, do the closing stuff, have that finalized, then, pack, all the moving stuff. Move to wherever we move to, unpack, all of it. So this has all been in the last week. I have not heard back from them yet. So I was honest. I was like, I don't know what to pick because 30 days sounds scary. 60 is better, but still only 2 months. I told them I didn't respond right away because I legit had a panic attack. I've had a few this week. So that's what's going on. That's where we are. We're moving. We don't know when. And that's what's getting us, like, just not knowing. Like, just contact me back and give me a number that's not 30. Please. This is long, but this is still the condensed version of everything. Like, so much more has happened. It's been such a nightmare roller coaster that you could read more about on Patreon. So, the fallout from this. We don't know if we're going to be putting our stuff in storage, staying in a hotel. We don't know if you're going to move back in with your parents for the time being. I can't because they have kitties, these beautiful kitties that I'm allergic to because I'm allergic to and everything. We just don't know. We don't know if we're going to find something. Do we need to? So we just don't know. Like, life is in limbo right now. It's in a very scary. Like, I'm not going to be like, I'm close to being homeless. Like, we're not going to be like super dramatic. But I've been close to being homeless before once. I was like within like 48 hours of being homeless. But my condition is such that I need to sleep on a certain bed. I know that sounds like Goldilocks, but I have to sleep on a very specific bed with a very specific pillow. Living with me is not easy. With my condition, because it's so specific and so debilitating. But I don't know what's going to happen with the content, with recording, with the channel. The channel's not going anywhere. Well, knock on wood. Hopefully nothing happens to me before I move or after I move or in general. I don't know. I have a lot of very nice people out there who are very supportive, and they say, we'll be here for you. Just real life comes first. And it does. Obviously it does. But also at the same time, it's also YouTube, it's engagement. You need to be uploading regularly to be, and the channel's growing, but it's at a snail's pace, but it's still growing. So growth is growth, and that's good. So I don't want to leave you without content. And I also don't want to leave my patrons without content. I have a wonderful group of people over there who are just super supportive and very, very cool. And it's nice to have people who, like, not only care about the work you make and support it, but also care about you and support you. No, I don't take hiatuses just because I'm like, I'm so burnt out. Every time I've had to step away, it's been because of something health related. Every single time. And this time it's life related, which do go hand in hand, obviously. But it's the fear of, it's the worry of losing any engagement, losing what momentum I do have, which is minimal, but still it's momentum. It's good. Any progress is progress. So I could step away for a month, 2 months, 3 months and take care of life stuff. But then, what happens to the channel? What happens to the engagement? What happens to, and I know I'm a small channel. I know that. I've said before, I could have 13 subscribers or 13 million subscribers. I would still want to update anyone who gives a damn enough to watch and be here. You deserve to have the updates. So that's where I'm coming from on that one. That's why I do these kind of things. So I don't want to leave the patrons high and dry with nothing, and then they're paying their hard-earned money to support the channel and the content, and then there's no content. Like, so it's just like, you got to play the game to stay in the game. On top of the not knowing and the stress and the panic and the of life right now. This is also like right now as well. I don't know. My brain is so, yeah. So we don't know what the future holds. Yeah, we're recording this on May 6th. I'm going to try to have this edited and uploaded on the same day if I can. So if we do an update video in the future, letting everybody know what's going on, because I want to keep everyone in the loop, from the casual viewer to all the wonderful people over on Patreon, then we will do that. But yeah, this is a long-winded way to say that we're being asked to move. It's not our fault. And in no way, and you can attest to this, and remember, this is a man who cannot lie. In no way am I like being hyperbolic. I'm not trying to skew the story so that I'm the victim. I'm telling you exactly as things have happened.
Yes, all of that is true.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to like shift the focus of reality back on me to play the victim. It's not my thing. If I'm in the wrong, or if I'm doing something wrong, I will freely admit it. I have no problem doing that. It has legitimately been like this. And again, this is Cliff's Notes version, even though this video is longer than I expected it to be. I don't know what's going to happen next, from living here to anything. We are in the great unknown right now, but we are getting through it together. And yeah, so I will do my best to give you content, but I don't know what it's going to be. I'm gonna have to stretch Doctor Who out. I don't want to do that. And then the back half of season 7B, the bonus stuff, is so long. Like there's so many long things back to back to back to back to back. So it's like, okay, do all this, figure this out, mentally, like just process everything, and then try and edit, because I can't focus because of all the things I just talked about. Yeah. And I may do like a packing, moving vlog. I suck at vlogs, but maybe I'll do it for fun. Maybe that'll be some content for you. I don't know. Thank you for sticking by us, sticking by the channel, sticking by me through all of my health issues. So, here we go again. Patrons, thank you for sticking by me and for the engagement and for talking and just listening when I kind of just talk about what's going on in the weekly update stuff. But hopefully we'll know something soon and I can pass it on to you. And yeah, so that's all. That's where we're at. I have no idea. My brain is... All right.